Let's get real here, folks. You know that one person who's always squawking about their troubles, right? Well, picture someone who's been through even worse, and they don't breathe a word about it. INFJs, they don't complain. They just get the job done. Why, you ask? Because they know complaining ain't gonna get them nowhere. And let me tell you, that's a real superpower. You're sitting there griping about your boss, your job, your whole situation. Seems like everyone else is doing the same. You're in that group chat, listening to all that venting. But here's the deal. INFJs, they're different. They don't waste their precious time complaining about what's wrong. They just handle it. And they do it without any fanfare. INFJs have mastered something that most folks only dream of: quiet resilience. While others vent and gripe, INFJs are out there looking for solutions. They don't need any validation for their struggles. They just move through life with an unshakable calm, no matter how tough it gets. Think about it for a minute. How many times have you made excuses for yourself? How many times have you let complaining become your default setting? INFJs don't have that luxury. They turn that frustration into fuel. They adapt. So, stop all the whining and start doing. If you want to take control of your life, stop letting complaints drag you down. INFJs, they aren't special. They're just smarter about how they use their energy. First, they don't complain about other folks' negativity. How many times have you been trapped in a conversation with someone who can't stop talking about how toxic everyone else is? INFJs, well, they don't join that negativity train. Here's why they stay out of it and why you should too. Here's the truth. People love to complain about other people. It's everywhere. The office gossip, the toxic friend, the drama in the family. And the worst part? We get sucked into it. It's almost like we have to engage. Like if we don't, we're missing out or somehow avoid an unnecessary conversation. But INFJs, they don't do that. They know better. Take Sarah, for example. She worked in a highly toxic office. Every lunch break, every water cooler moment was filled with complaints about the boss, coworkers, the workload, and everything else. Everyone else in her team complained endlessly. But Sarah, she didn't engage. She didn't feed into the drama. Instead of venting, she chose to stay quiet, focus on her work, and let everyone else do the talking. She knew that engaging in negativity was like lighting a fire and then complaining about the smoke. It never ends. INFJs, they got this emotional thing going on, see? Helps them dodge all the toxic junk. They spot the bad vibes, energy drain, plain and simple, and they just ain't having it. Gotta keep that peace, you know? Ain't about pretending problems ain't there. It's about not making them worse. See, they get that yapping about others, just gives them more juice over you. No need to blab on about how everyone else is messing up. They keep their eye on what they can boss around: themselves. Here's the lowdown. If you're always going on about the gloom and doom around you, you ain't doing no good. Just throwing gas on the fire. Want to stay out of the funny farm? Want to climb out of the mess? Gotta learn to back off. INFJs, they don't sweat the small stuff. They just don't let it get under their feathers. Now, time for you to do the same. Secondly, they don't squawk about being misunderstood. How many times have you told someone, "Nobody gets me"? Well, INFJs, they don't complain about being misunderstood. They just accept it and use it as fuel for their greatness. Here's a reality check for you. Being misunderstood is part of life, especially for those who think differently or have big ideas. Most folks get frustrated when they're not understood. They try to explain, over-explain, and beg others to see things from their perspective. But INFJs, they don't waste energy doing that. Nope. They've learned to accept it. They know they're different, and that's okay. Take Mark, an INFJ who worked in a creative industry. He'd often pitch groundbreaking ideas only for his colleagues to shoot him down, not fully grasping his vision. Did Mark get upset? Did he complain about how no one understood his genius? Nah. He didn't need validation from others to keep creating. Instead of whining about being misunderstood, Mark focused on improving his craft, refining his ideas, and letting his work speak for itself. He knew that the right people would eventually recognize his talent. INFJs, they know. They just know. Being misunderstood, well, that's just part of the deal when you're ahead of the curve. Rather than chasing approval or demanding that others get them, they just keep moving forward. They understand that not everyone will see their vision, and that's just fine. They don't let misunderstandings hold them back. So stop complaining about how misunderstood you are. Embrace the fact that not everyone will get you, and that's what makes you unique. Let your actions, not your words, prove your worth. You don't need validation. You just need to keep going. Thirdly, they don't complain about the lack of deep connections. How often do you hear folks complain about how lonely they feel or how hard it is to find real friends? INFJs? Nope. They don't complain about the lack of deep connections. They embrace solitude and make it work for them. Everyone talks about how hard it is to find real, authentic friendships. I don't have anyone to truly connect with. People just don't get me. We've all been there, feeling like we're surrounded by people but still alone. But INFJs, they're not running around complaining about their lack of a big social circle. They don't need 50 friends. They don't need constant validation from others. Take Emma, an INFJ. She's always been that quiet soul who would rather spend a peaceful evening at home reading or reflecting than go out with a crowd. At family gatherings, her cousins would complain about their fake friendships or how hard it was to find meaningful relationships. Emma, she didn't complain. She simply accepted that deep connections take time to build, and she was willing to wait for the few that truly mattered. INFJs, they get it. See, they understand that real relationships ain't just handed to you on some silver platter. Nah, they're earned, nurtured, and developed over time. While others are running from one superficial interaction to the next, INFJs are perfectly content with their small but powerful circle of folks who truly understand them. They don't need to waste time complaining about the lack of deep connections. They focus on cultivating the ones that really count. So stop stressing about the number of friends you have. Instead, focus on the quality of the relationships you're building. INFJs aren't afraid of being alone because they know that real connections take time, and they don't need a crowd to feel complete. It's time to rethink what you truly need in your social life. Quality over quantity, always. Fourthly, they don't complain about life's twists and turns. Life, it's a real mixed bag, ain't it? Full of them curveballs, unpredictability, and uncertainty. Now, while most folks tend to get their feathers ruffled, these INFJs, they just take it all in stride. Now, here's why they thrive in the face of the unknown, and why maybe you should too. Let's face it, most people can't stand not knowing what's coming next. Whether it's losing a job, life throwing you a curveball, or just plain not knowing what's around the corner, we panic, we squawk and complain, we get all stressed out, we try to wrangle things that just ain't meant to be wrangled. But these INFJs? Nope, they don't lose a wink of sleep over it. Instead, they lean right on into it. Take Jason, for instance, an INFJ who got the axe after 5 years at a company he thought he'd be with till the cows came home. While everyone else was running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to find a new gig and complaining how unfair life is, Jason, he did things different. He didn't whine or get all worked up. Instead, he took a deep breath, accepted that life ain't always going to go as planned, and saw this new chapter as a chance to spread his wings. He traveled, explored new passions, and by the time he found his next job, it was a way better fit for him and aligned with what he really believed in. INFJs, they've mastered the art of embracing the unknown. They don't waste energy fighting life's unpredictability. Nope, they don't let it paralyze them with fear. Instead, they adapt, learn, and grow. For them, uncertainty is a chance to reinvent themselves, not a threat. Stop treating uncertainty like your enemy. It's not something to fear, it's an opportunity to evolve. INFJs don't run from change. They see it as the perfect chance to build something better. So, next time life throws you a curveball, ask yourself, how can I grow from this? Because life's unpredictability isn't a setback. It's the stepping stone to your next big breakthrough.
Fifthly, they don't complain about their emotions.
Ever have one of those days? Your emotions take over and everything feels out of control. Most folks complain about being too emotional or too sensitive, but INFJs, they don't complain, no sir. They own their emotions. See, most people try to avoid or suppress their emotions. When they feel anger, sadness, or even joy, they don't know what to do with it. They might bottle it up, vent endlessly, or just act like it doesn't exist. But INFJs, they embrace their emotional depth. They don't complain about being overwhelmed by feelings, they process them. Take Emily, an INFJ who was constantly accused of overreacting because of her intense emotional responses. The thing is, Emily never complained. Instead of letting her emotions control her, she took the time to understand them. After a tough situation, Emily would quietly reflect, meditate, or journal about how she was feeling. She gave herself space to feel, but she didn't let those feelings dominate her. INFJs have learned that emotions are powerful signals, not something to fear. In a world where others waste energy whining about being too emotional, INFJs see their feelings as a gift. They use them to understand themselves better, to build empathy for others, and to navigate life with more insight and clarity. They don't suppress or deny their emotions. They work through them and come out stronger. Stop seeing your emotions as a burden. Instead of complaining about how deeply you feel, start understanding why you feel that way. Emotions aren't your enemy. They're your guide to a deeper understanding of yourself. INFJs don't run from them, they learn from them. It's time for you to do the same.
Sixthly, they don't complain about expectations from others. Ever feel like the world's constantly telling you who to be or what to do? Well, these INFJs, they don't complain about society's expectations. No, sir. They go on and create their own path, and they walk it confidently. Expectations. They're everywhere, aren't they? Society tells you what's normal. Your family asks when you're going to settle down, and friends constantly remind you of where you should be in life. The pressure is real. Most people crack under it, complaining about how they don't live up to other people's standards, how exhausting it is to meet everyone's demands. But these INFJs, they're not playing that game. Take Greg, an INFJ who works as a high school teacher. Greg was constantly asked, "When are you going to settle down?" or "Why aren't you doing something more with your life?" He could have easily complained about the pressure or felt insecure about his life choices, all right? But he didn't. Instead, Greg stayed true to his values. He focused on being the best teacher he could be, living life on his terms, and following his own timeline. INFJs are fiercely independent. They don't let the world or anyone else dictate how they should live. Look, the truth is, INFJs ain't got no time to waste complaining about what others expect of them. They're too busy chasing after what really matters, you see? They get that the only expectation that counts is the one they set for themselves. They don't need no validation from society, family, or friends. They define their own success and walk their own path with purpose. So stop letting other folks' expectations run your life. You don't need to fit into some mold someone else cooked up for you. INFJs don't ask for permission, they just live real. You dig? Now it's time for you to do the same thing. Define your own standards, set your own pace, and don't you dare apologize for it. The only opinion that matters is your own.
Seventhly, they don't complain about time management issues. Everyone's always saying they don't have enough time, folks. You probably use that excuse a lot too, but INFJs, they don't complain about time. They make it work effortlessly. We've all been there, running around, feeling overwhelmed, and constantly complaining about how little time we have.
I don't have time to work out, to finish that project, to spend time with friends, to relax.
Time is always the excuse, but INFJs, they don't get bogged down by that. They've cracked the code to managing their time effectively, and guess what? They don't whine about it, they do something about it. Take Rachel, an INFJ who juggles a full-time job, a family, and a personal passion project. While everyone else complains about being overwhelmed, Rachel doesn't. She knows that time isn't something you're given, it's something you create. Rachel's secret? Prioritization. She knows what matters most and dedicates her energy to those things. She doesn't waste time complaining about being busy. She plans her day, sets boundaries, and ensures that everything that's important gets done. She's not immune to the pressures of life. She just handles them with focus and intention. INFJs know that time, well, it's running out, folks. They don't let distractions peck away at their schedule or waste precious moments on stuff that just don't matter. Instead of squawking about how little time they got, they use it smart, staying organized and on purpose with every little task. So, quit blaming the clock. Time's the same for everyone. What counts is how you handle it. If you're feeling swamped, it's time to stop clucking and start choosing. Time ain't the enemy. It's the most valuable thing you got. Learn to use it right, and you'll be amazed at how much you can get done without ever stressing about not having enough. INFJs get things done not by wishing for more time, but by making every minute count. And guess what? You can too. All right, that's going to be it for this video. See ya in the next one. Have a great day.